So hi, Microbehunter here, and today I would like to talk a little bit about dirty microscope objectives and if they are indeed responsible for giving you a bad image quality, because sometimes you don't know what the problem is if you don't see anything. So a question I received, and I'd like to read it out first. I have a problem with my microscope. When I use the 4x objective, I see everything clear. The same for the 10x. But when I turn to power 40x or 100x, not moving the stage, I see nothing. So I'm worried whether the power 40x and the power 100x got dirty, or am I making a mistake? I use eyepieces 18. What problem do I have? If both objectives got dirty, how could I know? Thanks, and appreciate it if you make me understand. Well, thank you for the question. A few clarifications here. The eyepieces of 18, this refers to the field number, and I think that's not so relevant for this question right now. The question is now what are the reasons why you don't see anything? And there could be a couple of reasons for that, and I'd like to simply give you a couple of advice, a little bit of advice here to rule out some possibilities. First of all, please do check that the microscopes are of the same series. Now, it can be that, especially when you've got used microscopes, or when you made one yourself, you assembled one together yourself using spare parts, it can be that the microscope objectives are not from the same manufacturer. And even though they fit into the revolving nose piece, they are not parfocal. And this means that normally when you change the magnification, then you do not lose focus, but if the objectives are not from the same series, it can actually mean that you have to refocus a little bit, and maybe this could be one reason that essentially you lost focus simply by changing the magnification. So in this case, you have to refocus. That's possible. It's a little bit of an annoyance, but I myself worked with microscopes like this before. You then simply have to remember how many times you have to rotate the fine focus knob into which direction until you get the image again into focus. If this is the case, well then, you'll be fine, but maybe the microscope objective is indeed dirty. And this can especially happen with the 100x and the 40x objective because of the small working distance. This is the distance between the cover glass and the microscope objective. This distance is so small that the front lens can easily be contaminated with immersion oil. So normally the 100x objective is an oil immersion objective. You know that when there is the word oil written on the objective. But sometimes it can happen that unfortunately when you change the magnification down to 40x again, something you shouldn't do, but then also you end up rotating the 40x objective into the immersion oil, and then even that becomes dirty and you also have to clean it. And if you don't clean it, then over the time the objectives might accumulate dust, and because the dust will then stick in the oil, and that can actually make it dirty. So how do you actually know now if the objective is dirty or not? How can you check? It's actually quite easy. All you have to do is you have to take out the objective and then look at the objective from behind, okay, from the inside, and you will be able to see the lens in a much larger than actually looking at it from the front. When you look at it, then you can actually check if there is any dirt on it. Sometimes there is a little bit of dirt on it. A little bit of dirt should not matter too much, but if you actually see the lens covered in a veil, or if it's not clear behind it, then this could actually mean that there is a layer of dirt, immersion oil usually on the lens. You're also able to see certain cracks in the objective. Even that is possible, but otherwise that's the easiest check that you can do. If this is then a problem, then you have to clean, of course, the microscope lens. Now there is also another possibility, actually something that I've seen once before. I could really not get it into focus at all. And the reason was a very unusual one, and that's simply also something I would like to share with you, even though I think it's a rather unique or not a very common problem. But especially the 100x and the 40x objective, sometimes they are spring-loaded, and this means that the front part of the objective, I don't know if you can see this, can be pushed in, okay? This is called spring loading. And the reason is that this is a safety mechanism, so that if you actually make contact with the slide, that yeah, it will then retract, and this will protect both the objective and also the specimen slide. And I once had the situation that actually this spring-loaded front part actually stayed in there and didn't want to go out. The reason is because they got some dust or some dirt got into the edge here, into the gap, and this caused the front part of the objective to be to stay in. Something I did not expect, and that's why I could initially not find the problem. So what I had to do is I had to actually knock it out like this. Yeah, and then plop, it plopped out again and popped out again, and then it worked fine. But that's also a reason why I could not get it into focus. And the last recommendation that I have is if you change magnification, it could be that actually everything is fine, but simply that the contrast was too low, and therefore that you did not see anything. So my recommendation is that when you use the higher magnifications, completely close the condenser aperture diaphragm, because this will increase the contrast and also increase the depth of field. And also use a specimen that is high in contrast. Basically then you're able to also able to see it much better. Usually if the lens is dirty, you're still able to see something, but actually it is blurry or out of fuzzy, but you should still be able to see something. But not being able to see anything at all, either it could mean that it's really completely out of focus, or maybe that the specimen slide was not centered. This could also be a reason. But usually dirt on the microscope objective, you still should be able to see some kind of contours of the specimen, provided the specimen has sufficiently high contrast. Okay, I think before I say goodbye, I would like to also make a new announcement. Because there is so much going on now in the world of amateur microscopy. Well, at least there's more going on than it used to be a couple of years ago. I've decided to publish a newsletter which summarizes the most important videos that I'm making, and to simply also keep in more personal contact with you. So if you're interested in receiving such a newsletter, I put a link down there into the description where you can actually also sign up. You can, of course, every time unsubscribe again if you do not want to receive those newsletters, but that's a new project that I'm starting as well. I think for right now, I think that's enough. Do leave your comments. Do consider subscribing to this channel if you like these type of videos. Happy microbe hunting as always, and see you around next time. Bye bye.